Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Talk Tuesday. It's great to see you all. We look very forward to your engagement today as we have staff from the New London Public Schools to really share some of their practices. We have Kari Sullivan here, who's going to start off our morning with some updates from the State Department of Education. And we look forward to a great session this morning from 9 to 10. So thank you all for being here. And I'm going to turn this over to Kari. While we're doing this, everyone, if you can just drop your name in the chat with your name, your role, your district. We keep we keep all of this information for all of you. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you and welcome everyone to Talk Tuesday for October 18th. For those of you who are new, we've expanded to we've expanded to engage and welcome all school districts. We were doing this for 2 years with just some of the Alliance districts, and with issues raised around attendance due to COVID and the pandemic, we realized that this would benefit many other districts. And so we welcome you. This is every other Tuesday for an hour, and we just drop in and we talk about attendance, and we hear about success from other districts so we can share and learn from each other. So Steve, did you go over the agenda? No?
No, I
Okay.
just kind of mentioned who's going to be in the space.
Okay, so I'm going to go over what's new at CSD and our partners. It's pretty short today. Then we're going to have our focus on success with New London Public Schools, speaking about their success last year with attendance and multilingual families, followed by some remarks from my colleague Megan Elabicki Flick, who's our multilingual learner consultant here at SDE. So it should be a pretty quick hour, and we'll get started. Next slide, please. I see there's a lot of people coming in. So every Talk Tuesday, we start with what's new at CSDE. And this simply comes from our Superintendent's Digest. Every Monday and every Thursday afternoon, an email goes out to superintendents with new guidance and what's happening. And those links are then posted on the Superintendent's Digest. And when the pandemic started, we started Talk Tuesday. We realized so much information was going out that we wanted to make sure it got to everyone quickly. And so we share this every Tuesday, every other Tuesday. So it doesn't always relate to attendance, but so many of us wear many, many hats. And so I include everything so that if it's something that might be related to other work that you're doing, you have access to it. So I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. So there's an update and reminder about Title IX roles, responsibilities, and training opportunities. There's nominations being accepted for the 2023 U.S. Presidential Scholar Program, Presidential Awards of Excellence in Mathematics and Science and Teaching. There's the 10th anniversary of Hour of Code. There's a public service loan forgiveness, which I understand a lot of people are eligible for, and the deadline is coming up. So we're getting a lot of emails about and reminders about that. And then on October 13th, and last week there's a symposium coming up around increasing education diversity out of our talent office. There's a National Manufacturing Month PD playlist for educators. The turnaround office or the academic office produces these playlists on different topics relevant to the time of year. And so recently we've had released the National Manufacturing Month, Illuminating Indigenous People, Cultures, and Perspectives playlist for educators. There's a Digital Citizenship Week PD playlist, and my next slide is going to give you a taste of what these are because they're wonderful and I think really helpful for folks. There's a Solar Decathlon Pathways that was released. We are recruiting 2 deputy commissioners for the State Department of Education. If anyone is interested, there is a link there for that. Some updates on the COVID-19 booster vaccine. We are hearing that respiratory illnesses are increasing and expected to increase, not just COVID-19, but the flu and other respiratory illnesses for children it's encouraged that we, I just listened to the Department of Public Health. So what did they say? They said they're encouraging families to have their children vaccinated. The new booster is available to children as young as 6, if families are so inclined to do that. And if there's high transmission in your area, to wear masks. So that's a little update on that. There's guidelines for storage and administration of opioid antagonists in school for our school nurses and health folks. And then there's information about linking your district school websites to the report cards on EdSite. And that's it from what's new at CSDE. Does anyone have any questions? There's a link. We're going to send you the slides. So there'll be a link, but you can also use this QR code, this fancy QR code to go there right now if you're interested. Okay, next slide, please. So these are what they're very small, I realize it, but I just wanted to give you sort of a flavor of what the playlists look like that are coming out of our academic and turnaround office and partnerships with other offices, I'm sure. There's the Digital Citizenship Week is October 17th through 21. So each of the playlists has articles to read, videos to watch, podcasts to listen to, and then questions to reflect on the learning. And it encourages folks to read one article, watch one video, listen to a podcast of your choice, or explore from the list below, and feel free to listen to them all. But if it's a topic that you're interested in, or you find that students might be interested in illuminating Indigenous people, cultures, and perspectives, PD list, in an after-school program or an enrichment program. So these might be something that you'd want to look at. Right here, they're stored in our Connecticut Learning Hub, which if you haven't been to, you really should explore that. There is a family engagement kind of arm. So there's a family engagement arm of the Connecticut Learning Hub that has lots of really good information there that Judy Carson is managing, including our friends from Flamboyant, their information, which is wonderful. Next slide, please. So today we're going to talk a little bit about addressing attendance with English learners and learn some of what New London has done. And it's kind of small here, but I went on to EdSite and I downloaded the trends for English learners for attendance, their chronic absence rate. And you can see that where it has, I hope you can see it, where it has increased from 2019-20 for ELS was 17.2, and then last year was 31.8, and then the year before was 31.8, and then just this year ending last year was 32.7. And you can see the difference between non-ELS and ELS. And although the ELS are higher, they're not increasing at the same rate as non-ELS students. You can see that non-ELS students increased about 5 percentage points versus the ELS only 1 percentage point. And so something's helping to maintain that level, but we want to really turn that around and see more of our ELS coming to school. And this list here, I just want to focus and congratulate and celebrate districts last year who reduced their chronic absence rate for ELS by at least 1 point. And so there's 34 districts here, and the ones that are highlighted are alliance districts. And I did this by memory, so if I made a mistake, please forgive me. But 34 districts were able to reduce their chronic absence, some significantly, for their ELS. And I put the whole list here because I know sometimes they say, well, those are the districts that are, on the shoreline or, out in, smaller districts or wealthier districts. But we are seeing progress in many, many alliance districts as well. And so I've kind of called out the alliance districts here. And we have one charter school who is a regular on Top Tuesday, Booker T. Washington Academy District reduced their chronic absence for English learners as well. So it's kind of setting the stage with the data, because we always want to start with data. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. Do I have another slide? I think this is my last slide. Yep, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel Newer with New London Public Schools, who's going to talk about what's happening in New London to address chronic absence.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Newer and I am from New London High School, but I'm also the co-chair of the district attendance team. So I'm going to lead us off, and I have two other peers who will be joining me today in our presentation. If you can go to the next slide. And then click it twice and two little things will appear up on the side. There you go. So New London Public Schools is a little bit different, as we are working to become the first all magnet school district in Connecticut. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that vision and our goals with you so that you have a framework for understanding the work that we're doing in New London. So you can see that our mission here is to educate and graduate students who specialize in one of these three themed magnet pathways: international education, STEM, and visual performing arts. We want students who are well-versed in the academic knowledge and practical experiences necessary to exceed beyond high school, who are critical thinkers and innovators, who are courageous and self-reliant, and who challenge the status quo while enriching their community, country, and global society. So it's always important to know what we're all about and what direction we're headed. Next slide. And you can click it again. Yep, and there you go. So so this is our goal here, these three different pathways. So we have 4 different elementary schools. 3 of them are aligned to the different pathways, and then we sort of have an overflow right now that is becoming one of the pathways as well. The middle school campus has the 3 pathways, and the high school does as well. You may have heard that the STEM magnet high school that we had was a separate high school, but now we've merged into one high school with these 3 pathways that students can choose from. So if you look at the next slide, you'll see that we have students, go ahead to the next slide, sorry, from all over the place. So this can make it a little bit of a challenge with attendance when we are working with kids that are coming from so many different places, and some are farther away as well. But so doing a home visit might be a little bit more challenging since it's not like right in the neighborhood, but these are all of the towns that students are coming to New London from. Go to the next slide. And so our total number of students is 3,089 students. We are a very small area. New London is a tiny city, but everyone is packed in here tightly. So we are considered an urban district because of that. So 18% of our population is special education. 26% are multilingual learners, 86% qualify for free and reduced meals, and then 83% of our students are of color. So we are a very diverse district. You can go to the next slide. And so how do we approach attendance? We really have followed a lot of the advice and guidance we've been given from the state, from things like Talk Tuesday, from the COP regarding attendance, and also from Attendance Works. So we worked with Attendance Works probably about 7 years ago, really intensely. And at that point, we started the attendance team model, talking about teams. So we have a district level team. That team is made up by at least one representative from each school. The lead for that school comes to our team meeting. We also have Maribel, who will be presenting in just a few moments, representing our multilingual department. We have someone representing special ed department. We have someone from our Power School team. And so the team is made up of really a holistic approach coming from all of the different systems in the district. And at that district team, we always review data. In just a few minutes, Maribel is going to show you one of our fantastic reports that we use at these meetings to really dig down and see, like, do we have issues at grade levels at specific schools with specific populations? So we always review data and take a look at what that means and how that can direct our practice. We also use the district team to provide updates. So I take what I get from Talk Tuesday, and then I share that at the district level meeting so that everybody knows any new changes that have taken place. We also use the district team meeting as an opportunity for professional development. So if I have gained some new knowledge from something like Talk Tuesday, or from attending an Attendance Works webinar or something of that nature, I share that at the district attendance team meeting so that all of these things that I'm sharing, whether it's updates or professional development, are trickling down to the school level through those leads from the specific teams. We also use our district team meeting as an opportunity for school accountability. So each of the leads from the school will report out what is the latest, what are new interventions that they are using to improve attendance in their schools, and how is their team running. So that's really the framework that our district team works off of. So that lead person then goes back to the building level and holds oftentimes weekly meetings to share the info that they got from the district team meeting, but also to review their school specific data and then to plan for interventions at all of the tiers. So we want our building level teams to be looking at the nitty gritty of students, but also to be spending time on what are we doing tier 1 in our school, what are we doing tier 2, and what are we doing for our tier 3 students, and who are they? So I'm going to turn things over to Maribel, and she is going to introduce herself and tell you about her work with our multilingual learners and what that, how that relates to attendance. And then our third presenter will be Christina from the elementary level, and she's just going to share some of the really dynamic things that we've been doing that have improved attendance at our elementary level. So she's an example of her presentation is planning for all these tiers, as you'll see in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Good morning. Next slide, please. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Maribel Olivero. I'm Director of Bilingual ESOL and World Languages at New London Public Schools. Wanted to share a little bit of our population. So what you see on the screen here is really the breakdown of our multilingual learners across all our different schools. And you can also see the duly identified numbers. I also wanted to show you kind of the breakdown of the percentage of our languages. Spanish is by far the highest population of multilingual learners that we have, followed by Creole, Haitian Creole, and Portuguese, which we seem to be getting an influx of Portuguese speakers, mainly from Brazil. So this is our population. We have multilingual learners at every school, just like you can see. I just saw the comment, pictures of feel good picture. Yes, absolutely. That was actually, that picture with the kids was taken at we held a multicultural event, which I'll talk about in another slide. And that was just one of the pictures we captured from that event, which was very, very well attended. We also offer bilingual support. We're mandated bilingual at every school. And we do have challenges with staffing, just like every other district, I'm sure. And if we could go to the next slide. So this is the chart that Rachel was speaking of. I decided to share where we were pre-COVID because as you can see, that was the data shortly before everything shut down and life seemed to have changed for everyone, particularly in education, right? And so at that time, we were already doing a lot of work on improving attendance and trying to address chronic absenteeism. And I was also on the team as well at that time. And so we always looked at the data and, you know, as Rachel mentioned, just kind of looking at the patterns. Do we see any grade levels where there seems to be, you know, the numbers seem to be significantly high, and really try to work with those teams at each of the schools. The school level teams also had meetings. And so I know that for my teachers in the department, they participated in the attendance team meetings at each of their schools, whatever school they were assigned to. And the schools, for the most part, they had grade level teams that looked at the data, and my teachers were part of that conversation. And so if we noticed that, you know, fifth grade was, you know, was high, we'd go back to that fifth grade team and see, you know, what are we doing about chronic absenteeism. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, our numbers were extremely high. And at one point we were up to about 48% chronic absenteeism, which was extremely, extremely concerning. And we are definitely not at 16% for our multilingual population, although it remains a goal. And we will continue to work at it. We did make some improvements. And if you could go to the next slide, I'll share some of what we were doing. So I look at attendance and addressing it from two lenses. One is getting teacher involvement. And the other I'll speak to on in the next slide is really the family piece. So internally, I have a newsletter that last year I put it out weekly for my department. And I also put out a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that I put out as a district. Part of the as part of sharing in the newsletter and, you know, your day-to-day operations and highlights and so forth. One of the things that I tried to do regularly was share the data with teachers. And so as you can see, so, you know, I shared 2 screenshots there for copies of some of the newsletters where I shared where the numbers were. And in addition to this, all my teachers received they received spreadsheets. So, you know, on the newsletter, I shared the counts, right? But each of my school teams got a spreadsheet of exactly who the kids were at each of the tiers. And so, to be quite honest, some of my teachers got a little competitive. And so seeing it and seeing that data and seeing kids that they were working with and saying, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see that, you know what, my kid who was in a tier 2 is now moved into the green, right? They've moved into the tier 1. And so that got a little competitive. They were going back and double checking to make sure of the accuracy of attendance and so forth. And so I think teachers being able to see that data, and for us as a department to be having conversations about it. And, you know, it was one of my SLO goals and for being an administrator. And I encourage them to also, you know, include attendance as part of their goals. Teachers were doing check-ins with students. So, you know, especially some of the kids that they knew that were struggling, they really were connecting with families and making lots of phone calls home. They were given incentives. So in addition to, you know, what you'll hear about for the, at least at the elementary level, I know Christina's going to share a little bit soon. We were just doing additional incentives for our students because we know that our student population, in addition to having some of the same challenges that the rest of the population has, our students also come with other challenges. Sometimes they're doubled up. They've arrived to the country, they're staying with relatives, they don't have transportation, or they don't know where to go for resources, or, you know, sometimes it was that, you know, they needed a physical, or they needed shots and they didn't really know where to go. And so sometimes that was kind of delaying things. And so we tried to support the parents in that way and really just working on building those relationships, not only with students, but also with the families. You know, I always encourage teachers to just, you know what, when you see Jose or Maria that are walking in your class and, you know, they were absent yesterday, remind them and say, I'm so happy that you're at school today. We missed you yesterday. And again, even at dismissal, for teachers that were able to connect with the parents, just making those personal connections, not just with the kids who really notice that, you know, when they're out, and that shows that you care, and it helps to build those relationships. So if you could go to the next slide. So as far as the parental outreach, I talked a little bit about, you know, really connecting with families. As a district, we were really pushing a lot of parental engagement last year. As a department, we held, you know, in addition, we supporting other events, but we did have some events that were specific to our families. So the screenshot that you see on the left says Cena Informativa. That was a dinner that we held for parents, and it was an informational dinner. We invited parents to come in, and so we brought in people to not just share resources, but we have, so for example, we have our platform that we use is called Blackboard, and part of that, we had recently launched Blackboard Reach, which is a two-way translation system in which parents are able to connect and connect with the teachers in their native language. And when the teacher responds, it actually translates to whatever native language the parent has selected. And so that to get the parents registered and making sure that they're able to access and know how to access the system. So that was like one of the tables that we had. Another table that I had was our motivation officer and one of the school social workers that is bilingual. They set up a table, and so they shared a lot of information about with parents about why it's important for students to come to school, and just showing some of the research and handouts and things that they shared with the parents. Because one of the things that we know about our families is that when they come, especially parents that are coming from other countries that are not familiar with the way schools operate here. Some countries, for example, they go to school for half a day. And so, to go to school for 4 hours, and then you come to the States where you're expected to be in school 6.5 hours at times, and you're expected to be there regularly, etc. It is a shift in not just in the routines, but also just in the mindset of school is extremely important and you're expected to be in school. So that was the informative dinner. We had I had people in there from HR. I invited adult education. I recall a parent who connected with me and said, I'm so happy that I came. Thank you for doing this. She said, I recently moved to the area. I had no idea where to go. And now I have my preschool student who I have connected with somebody, and I'm gonna go there tomorrow. And she was kind of sharing. And so it's kind of nice to hear some of those stories, because there are things that we take for granted sometimes with our families, transportation, et cetera. And so a lot of times it's just a matter of really connecting the parents with resources that they need within the community so they can get stable. The other event that we had, we called it Around the World in New London, which was a fabulous, fabulous event. We held it in May. And basically our teachers worked with students on some poster boards and projects and lots of activities. And so every school set up a table. We decorated the cafeteria where we held it, and lots of decorations, just very, very engaging, very inviting. We brought in a DJ, and we supported all our local restaurants. We ordered food from all the different multicultural restaurants, different countries of origin. And so we shared, and if kids danced, they painted their face, they did some coloring. A lot of people came in dressed with like cultural attire, and it was just a really fun and engaging event. And we did smaller ones like that with some teachers during the year, but we had hundreds of people there. It was a packed house, and that was very successful, and we were very happy about that. But my point in bringing it up is that we have to connect with our families, and our Hispanic families and our families of color. Like, they need to engage with staff. They need to feel a sense of trust. And, these are just some of the ways that you do that to build those relationships with the parents. We also had, of course, the LEAP visits, which were part of the district and district initiative, and lots of people that were involved and trained for LEAP visits. And so those were also successful as well. And we also hired a bilingual parent engagement coordinator. And so he's been instrumental in making a lot of phone calls. He's made hundreds of phone calls, really trying to connect with parents and get them to engage and participate in all of our events. And I believe this was my last slide, so I will turn it over to Christina.
Hello, my name is Christina Ciato. I am a school social worker at Winthrop Elementary School here in New London. I'm just going to review some of the interventions that we utilize here at the different tiers that have improved our attendance and what we're re-implementing after COVID to try to get our numbers back down to where they were. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So first we start with our overall attendance protocol. We try to utilize all the staff in our building so that everyone who has interactions with the student are taking part and engaging in, and investing in the student coming to school. We break it down by numbers. So if at 2 absences, we ask the homeroom teachers to make a phone call. And the biggest focus of this phone call is really not to investigate why the student may be out, but to build that connection between the classroom community and the student and the family. So when we call, we're not asking teachers to ask where they are. Obviously, that could make the family feel defensive. There are many of logical reasons why students are out. It's just to communicate that the teacher realizes that the student has 2 absences. They want to communicate that, maybe offer any help or make sure that the family is okay, and just build that connection between homeroom teacher and family. At 4 absences, we ask that our specials teachers or our ESOL teachers contact families just as a next level staff member, letting them know that, hey, in music class this week, we worked on the ukuleles and we're really looking forward to having so-and-so back so that they can join in. They're such an important part of our classroom community. At 6 absences, we have teachers send an individualized postcard, which the social workers who run these reports and hand out and delegate these steps will sign date with the address to the family, so that all the teacher has to do is write a personalized note on the postcard and then pop it in the mailbox that goes home. Again, this is a positive communication from the classroom teacher to the family, never punitive for having absences. Like one example is, we had a student who was out for an extended period of time because of a funeral. So this was a great opportunity for the teacher to just write a personalized note that they were sorry for their loss and we really look forward to the student's return. At 8 absences, we bring it to the social worker or an administrative phone call, especially if this family is in, a need of a specific intervention. Maybe there's a transportation issue, maybe it's a before or after school care issue, and either the social worker or the administrator can kind of figure out what is the barrier to coming to school and maybe help that family get past those barriers. Then at 10 absences, we hold an attendance team meeting. So the classroom teachers, the social worker, and administrator will meet with the family. We offer this either virtual or in person based on the family's availability. And we kind of, again, discuss what is the barrier. We utilize the like a success plan that we receive from Attendance Works that identifies what the barrier may be, who are maybe some individuals who can support the family, and what is the plan going forward. That way everyone is on the same page. The families know that we're here to support them to improve their attendance, and we're here to help problem solve and kind of get over that hump of what might be keeping that child from coming to school. And then at 10 plus, we utilize home visits. In the last couple of years, we've adopted the LEAP perspective from things. So again, coming from that, engaging with the family, meeting them either at a public location or their home, and letting them know that we are here for them. We are here to help them with whatever they might need in order to improve that attendance and get their student to school. Next slide, please. So here are more tier 1 interventions that we utilize. So every classroom at the beginning of the year, we print out monthly themed attendance posters, and this is a contest that the class works towards together. So this is our October example, and every time that a class has perfect attendance, they get to cross off one of their pumpkins. Once they have collected 5 pumpkins, they vote as a classroom community, again, reminding the class that they are a part of a community within their little classroom, and they decide together what they would like to utilize as their prize. All of the prizes are non-tangible. So it's all things that we can kind of put together here at school, or a teacher can put together without, having multiple people kind of step in. So it could be something as simple as a pajama day or a 5-minute dance party that they earn on Friday, free time, or wearing a hat in class. this just helps again, the classroom, kind of the students hold each other accountable. They all want to work together to come to school so that they can earn these fun non-tangibles. Next slide, please. And this is another example. We come up with like themed school-wide competitions throughout the year. During March, we like to tap into the March Madness, the sports theme, where each classroom represents a team. And so their team gets like a monthly, or a weekly percentage. And then we utilize those percentages to kind of create a tournament where classes advance and move forward. The more that their attendance, the higher percentage of attendance, and they compete against each other. And we create weekly videos where it's like a news broadcast, and we kind of announce what teams made it to the next round. And we advertise these on Facebook and our social media as well, so that parents can engage and see how excited. And there's a giant poster in the front of our school that everyone can see what classes are moving forward. And then the team that wins gets to vote on a prize or a pizza party, whatever they choose together. Next slide, please. And this is now our tier 2 interventions, which we use for our students who are on the cusp of being chronic. We really want to kind of avoid that chronic number 4. So it's a more intensive intervention. We call it our attendance club. We identify staff in the building who either have regular contact with or a preferred staff member for that student, who check in daily with the student. We utilize kind of part of like the check-in, check-out. How are you doing today? What are you looking forward to today? So it kind of builds that connection with that staff member, but also holds the accountability of coming to school and reminding that student why it's so important to come to school. So every day that they check in and they're there, the student gets to cross off that day. At the end of the week, you get a point for every day that you were here. And if you were here every day for the week, you get double points. So that way, even if a student doesn't have perfect attendance for the month, they're still incentivized by the days that they did come. At the end, if you do have a perfect month, you get to attend a donut party that we have at the end of every month in our cafeteria to celebrate those students who may have been struggling with attendance. And we want to recognize the fact that they've worked so hard and gotten here every day. So for our ESOL teachers, they are paired up with students that they work with, kind of building that connection. Our special ed teachers are pairing up with students that might be on their caseload. And even I take some students that I might work with that are already on my counseling caseload, so that it doesn't add extra work to staff members. It's students that you already have contact with, but you're also building that rapport with a trusted adult. And then we also utilize the Coast Guard is right next to our school. So we have a group of Coast Guard cadets that come over and volunteer. And so we figured this would be a great opportunity to kind of touch base with our higher needs students who might need a positive mentor. And they have lunch with them once a week. They come in, they meet with their student for lunch, and they kind of chat about some of the barriers that might get in the way of them coming to school, or just building a positive relationship and seeing, things that that they could attain one day, or being a positive role model for that student. And it really encourages the students to come to school because they really look forward to kind of meeting with that older positive role model. Next slide, please. And then we also want to acknowledge the students who are working so hard to improve their attendance. So every month we check the monthly attendance percentages, and any student who either was chronic or in our tier 2 who has improved their attendance receives a certificate and then a school t-shirt because they earned that by improving their attendance. And the certificate piece is really so that it goes home and parents can also see that we're acknowledging the improvement, because coming to school, especially in elementary school, right, it's not always up to a second grader whether or not they come to school. The whole family has kind of come together to improve their attendance, and we want to make sure that we're spending time to acknowledge that as well. And another way that we kind of help with identifying and acknowledging the help from families is we reach out to local restaurants that are in our area, and we have gotten gift certificates or free meal vouchers from restaurants that we provide to the family to acknowledge that they have been a helping hand in improving their students' attendance. And it kind of is just that whole family buy-in and a whole family reward for all the work that they're doing to get their student to school. Next slide, please. And that is the end of my portion of the presentation. Rachel, I'm not sure if you had anything else that you wanted to add, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina and Maribel. We really just wanted to give you a quick overview of some of the things that we felt were special about New London, and creative ideas that we've come up with to work with our students. I think, you know, so many of us have been working on attendance for so long. We've got a lot of smart people in the room when it comes to attendance, but we wanted to at least highlight some of the things that feel special to us. So thank you for allowing us to present today.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That was wonderful. And Christina and Maribel, wonderful presentation. There are lots of requests for the slides, so we'll be sure to get those out to everyone ASAP. Those were wonderful slides because and presentation, because it really shows some concrete ways that you are addressing chronic absence and attendance in your school in a positive way. Love the family relationships and engagement. I've met your bilingual family engagement coordinator, and he's amazing. And I can imagine how the families feel when they meet him or engage with him. And your other LEAP home visitors, and I know how those home visitors are actually out doing a lot of the home visiting with ELS too. So thank you very much. But I also want to see if there are any questions for the New London team. No, I don't see any. Okay.
Can we just shout out or?
Yes, go ahead, Christina. Yeah, you can raise your hand as well.
Okay.
No, you don't have to. Others, if anybody else has questions, you can raise your hand and we'll go in turn. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to be here with all of you. Great presentation. I love all of the ideas. I wondered one thing. With the attendance and all the incentives that you all have in terms of your tier 1 attendance, do you find that students who have like no control of their attendance are experiencing, you know, maybe some backlash from other students because they may be ruining the classroom attendance dynamics? And if you are experiencing that, like, what are you doing around that to address that?
I can answer. So we have had that, especially in classrooms where there's like one particular student who's really struggling to come to school. What we instruct the teachers as that time is to really take the approach of not excluding that, but changing their goal. So rather than it being a perfect attendance that class is working for, if like every Tuesday and Wednesday, right, this particular student is absent, we're going to figure out what the percentage might be for when one student is absent, and that is what their goal is. So you're changing the goal to make sure that it's attainable for your classroom. And even with like our attendance clubs, right? Sometimes a student never makes that perfect month. So for a student, I might say like, you're allowed 2 absences per month. If you reach that goal, that's your new individualized goal, then you get to attend the donut party. So we kind of change the target if we're realizing that it's too difficult for them. That way they're receiving their reward still. And then as that kind of becomes more permanent, we can increase the goal and hopefully increase their attendance.
Thank you.
Susan Laria, do you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my camera's off. I'm traveling. I loved the attendance protocol where it showed the number of absences and who was responsible for doing what. And I think we would have great luck implementing that in our elementary schools. I would love to know if anyone has had success at the high school level with that type of protocol, getting teachers to participate and the entire staff to participate in such a great way and with adhering to the protocol.
Rachel, do you want to talk a little bit about high school? I know that for at least elementary school, it was like a 2-3 year process to get teachers on board because it was such a big shift, where now I feel like everyone is, and it took a big push from administration, right, to be on board and explaining the rationale of we're not asking you to investigate, right? Because that's what teachers really don't want to do. They don't want to kind of harass families about why they're out. That's like, they feel like it's kind of out of their scope. So we really pushed the connection between teachers, but it also had to come from administration as well. And, after I would say maybe 3 years, Rachel, of doing this at our school, it's now really become a common practice.
Right. And I do remember when we very first started, some teachers were like, I don't have time for this. Where am I supposed to make these phone calls in my schedule? That was a barrier initially. And I think when we pared it down to, look, we're really just asking you to make one phone call, and then you're going to send that postcard, and we invited in, the specials teachers and all of them to also help make phone calls. It really just spread the weight among everyone. So then people were more comfortable with it, and it's really just become best practice. I do think that it is harder at the high school level because kids have so many different classes and so many different teachers, and teachers have so many more students. But we have at least communicated that clear message at the high school level that we want teachers to be reaching out to students' families, especially if they notice that that student has been missing. So we haven't come up with a formal protocol and way to do that at the high school level, but it is something that's pushed from the administrator, is that teachers should be reaching out and connecting when students are missing.
Thank you, Rachel. We're working with Attendance Works to do some research on high school attendance strategies, chronic absence strategies over the next year. And so they're going to be studying the data and contacting different districts that may be having success with high school students and chronic absence to release a research brief in the spring. So we're excited to do that. And if anyone has success at the high school level or strategy intervention that you'd like to share, please reach out to me, and we can make the connection with Attendance Works. This is an area that we really want to support districts with. We found last year that chronic absence is extremely high in the high school and especially high in grade 12. And so we want to kind of get behind that and figure out what's going on. At this point, I'd love to introduce my colleague, Megan Elbicki-Flick, to sort of make some remarks about the attendance and else. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much to the New London team. It's my honor to follow up with just a few comments related to multilingual learners more broadly for the audience here today. So when Kari asked me to make some comments, she encouraged me to make them in relation to the presentation that New London shared. So I was furiously, that's why my camera was off, I was furiously making notes to myself on things that I wanted to note, because of course, there was so much great information shared by the team. And one thing that stuck out to me, I was thinking about the broad range of diverse demographic context represented among the people on this call today, and how I was really impressed with how New London is, even though you didn't say that you're kind of taking a two-prong approach to supporting multilingual learners and multilingual families, that's what I interpreted from the information that you shared. Whereas one approach is that you're integrating multilingual learners with intentionality in your broad tier 1 initiatives, and you're thinking deeply about the integration, again, with intentionality across those initiatives. So that's one prong. But then the other prong is that you are really specializing your support for multilingual students and their families, to ensure that you are meeting those needs. And to the broader context, I was thinking, I wonder if districts that are in different demographic contexts find this to be applicable. And I'm thinking that certainly it really can be, even if you have a handful of multilingual learners, because it becomes particularly essential to assure that you're thinking of those students and their families in your broad initiatives, and that you're really disaggregating your data. So I heard loud and clear that you were talking about that holistic approach to compiling your attendance team and assuring that you have folks with a specialization on particular student groups, as well as building leaders and others. And that becomes particularly important also in our lower incidence districts, our suburban and our rural districts that have fewer multilingual learners. Because if we're not thinking about if we're not intentionally kind of disaggregating and looking at our data about those students and their families, it can be easy to lose them in the aggregated data that we look at. So I encourage you all to really be intentional, even if we're talking about a handful of families, a handful of students, to assure that you are looking at those trends, both in the broad scheme of things across all students and families, and also particular student groups, no matter how small they may be. I also wanted to encourage the group to, when we're thinking about multilingual families, I've talked about this before, but I think it's helpful to frame my thinking and hopefully yours as well. Oftentimes, when we're talking about multilingual families, we think of multilingual learner students as a proxy for multilingual families. So that if a family has multilingual learners, identified multilingual learners, it's likely that they are multilingual also. And while linguistically that is certainly true, and there is a big overlap or a shared space in the world of multilingual families and multilingual learner identified students, we know that there are families who have multilingual learners that are not in need of language support. They're proficient in English, the family members. And we also know that there are families that do not have identified multilingual learners or English learners, so their students are not identified that way, who do need language support. So the reminder is really to assure that you're thinking very broadly in your approaches to providing language support to families. And the most affirmative step where you can take that, where you can gain that information is really through that home language survey process at the registration, by asking families if they are in need of language support. Because again, even if their student is not a multilingual learner, there's a possibility that other languages are spoken in the home and families are in need of that support. And then as a reminder, I know that there's an opportunity for growth pretty much statewide in assuring that we're providing language supports for our families, and it can be challenging. But it is the civil right of parents to receive information in a language that they understand. So we need to make sure that we're really assuring that to the extent possible, we are, as school districts, providing that support to families. And I think from anecdotally, from what I see from districts that have really kind of cobbled together these great support systems for families, a lot of times they're doing it with various translation and interpretation tools. So that may mean that they have human interpreters. That's a very important role for folks, particularly in our formal meetings, PPTs, etc. There may be on-demand telephonic programs that people use, like Language Line. There may be electronic translation services like Google Translate, or built-in applications that you have, or there may be apps. And all of those, I would say, certainly vet them, talk with your peers about what they find works, but the best and most robust supports for families with language support tend to be a blend of those different types of tools. So I feel that this conversation could go on and on and on, and I don't want to take away from the amazing sharing that was done earlier, but I want to thank New London for all of their efforts. Clearly, you are connecting with families, and that is all of our goals. And I encourage you all to really think deeply, as I know that you are doing, about assuring language access and support for our families and our students. And I hope that we'll continue to have this conversation as we go forward. So thanks, Kari, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Megan. That was very, very helpful. And I want to go over to the next slide. So our next upcoming attendance engagement Talk Tuesday meetings are for the rest of 2022. We have November 1st, which is going to be Waterbury Public Schools engaging families of students missing too much school. So those tier 2 strategies for engaging families who for students who are missing too much school, and it'll discuss a lot about mindset for engaging families, and also home visiting. So home visiting for families before it becomes too late, and developing that relationship early and that trust with a home visitor before students get too far down the road that it becomes a crisis. So that will be November 1st. We're still working on November 15th. So I couldn't suggest that, but we are confirming things up. November 29th, we have the DCF Careline director coming, Lisa Damont, to talk to us about when to make referrals around educational neglect. And I know that's frustrating for some, because you make referrals and then they say, well, then we're not taking the case. And so she's going to be clear about that. And also you can now file complaint. You can file with a Careline on the internet now. You don't have to just use the phone. They have an internet portal where you can file concerns that are not eminent online. And Susan Lauria has agreed to talk to us about Stanford Youth Services and their partnership with Stanford Public Schools as the Youth Service Bureau, and the role of addressing truancy. And so that will be an interesting session on November 29th around addressing those students who are missing too much school. And December 13th, we are not quite there yet. So if you have any interventions or strategies or topics that you'd like to hear about, please put them in the chat before you leave. Let us know so that we can, so that you can help inform us as we develop the scheduling and programming for Talk Tuesday. I'd like to welcome everyone who's new, and thank you all for this hard work. It's not easy. These are tough times. We're coming into cold season and flu season. So we're here to support you. And
Kari, can I just add, if you don't, even after this session, even if you think about some ideas or strategies or interventions that you want to know more about, email us as well. Kari, Jay, Christine, and I meet weekly to really discuss this critical work. So even after today, reflecting on what was discussed, if there's any other strength, just email us, because we review on Monday mornings. We have our team huddle to really plan this work out in as systematic a way as possible to support your needs.
Every Monday at 8:15, we kick off our week talking about our team huddle on Talk Tuesdays and how to support your work. We hear a lot from all of you, and that's very helpful for us to develop this programming. So here's our emails. And with that, I'm going to wish everyone a really good week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next Talk Tuesday.
And just as a reminder, I dropped the PDF of today's presentation in the chat, so download it before you leave the meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone.